Assalamu alaikum. Greetings and welcome to Muhammad and Friends. Brothers and sisters, I'm your host, Jamil Muhammad, and we are streaming live. If you'd like to participate in today's conversation, you can give us a call at 773-434-6625. We have a very exciting show for you today, brothers and sisters. But before I introduce our guests, I'd like to remind you to please follow us on our social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please go to our YouTube page, click the like and the subscribe buttons so you can be notified whenever we post a show. Brothers and sisters, of course, Crow Television is an extension of Crow, the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the archives of the Nation of Islam and the Total Black Experience. And as you know, we preach longevity and consistency. And with this show, we like to highlight that with a few of our guests. And we'll open the show with a young lady who's very special to me. She is my daughter, Crow member Aaisha Nafis Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
All right. And sister, so yesterday was a milestone day. So what happened yesterday?
So yesterday I graduated from Governor State with my bachelor's in psychology.
Well, congratulations on that accomplishment. I know that you were excited, and I finally recognized it. Huh?
Yes.
Yes, you know, those of you in the viewing audience, I said I wouldn't recognize it until I saw my little girl go across the stage, and so that happened yesterday. So we had a very good time. So tell me, what does that accomplishment mean to you?
For me, it is definitely a milestone. School was definitely a really difficult journey for me. I think the transition from high school into college, I was not prepared for it. The freedom of being able to drive to class and then, oh, this class is at 8 a.m. I don't feel like going. It was easy to just stay at home, and seeing the consequences of not being as responsible or focusing more on work than school, and then having the moment where I was like, okay, it's time to get it together. I'm getting older. Let me be more responsible and finish school. And that's what I did.
So you learned about life in that process. And so right now I know that you're graduating, but currently you also work as a what?
A registered behavioral technician. So I work with children who have autism.
Mm-hmm. And how long have you been doing that now?
It was a year in April.
And so that wasn't your original course. So tell me how that came about.
It came about originally. I do plan to go to school for OT, but I ran into my old principal from elementary school, and she was so excited to see me, and she remembered me, and she asked me what I wanted to do, and she was like, "Well, I know a good gateway into that field," and so she connected me with Kara Wilson, who is the owner of the Howard Intervention Center where I work, and from then on, I was immediately interested. And that's how this career field came about.
Tell me, what has this experience working with autistic children, how has that affected you?
It's given me a lot more patience, and it's also made me a little bit more open-minded. I've always had a soft spot for children in general, but it's different with children who have autism because working with different clients, you learn every disorder is not the same, or their behaviors are not the same. What works for one child does not work for another, and it also goes into life. Like, you can get by in high school by just going to class, doing the work, whatever, but in college you really have to take the time, take those hours to go over your work and do the assignments, and just barely doing it is not going to get by. So you have to approach each class, each professor, each assignment differently, and I felt like this was a great way to apply the job everywhere within my life.
I know that we talked about the milestone yesterday. We know what you do with autistic children, but of course we're here at Crow TV, Muhammad and Friends, and just talk about the foundation and just growing up in this environment and being a part of Crow.
For me, it also instilled a lot of confidence in me. I went through my moments where I was like a little unsure, but I never completely felt like I didn't belong somewhere, or like I couldn't walk in and conquer the room. I think that I've learned to be able to stick up for myself and my beliefs without being uncomfortable. I think that's an important trait to have. It might rub some people the wrong way, I think, especially with being a woman, especially with being a black woman at that. Most people don't expect you to be outspoken or to be okay with speaking your mind. And I feel like I've always had the ability to stand up for myself. And I think that's something that this has helped me because I can get it for myself, but also seeing you, my grandfather, my aunt, my mom, my grandma, and everyone else here, and their stories and how they had their unwavering loyalty to the organization, and that's something that I've always wanted to reflect.
When you mention confidence, I know that we have a special relationship, but in your experience, you have friends and growing up, why is that confidence so key for you?
For me, it's so key because I didn't grow up the same way that everyone else did. So from religion to family structures, and sometimes you can easily feel like, okay, maybe I shouldn't talk about what I'm experiencing, like maybe our relationship. Like, well, some friends might not have that relationship with their father. So sometimes it's kind of like maybe I should not bring it up or relate everything back to my dad because I tend to do that. And so I'm like, well, this is who I am. And if you want to be my friend and you say you are my friend, then you should be able to accept what I've been through or how my life is, just like I do the same for you.
How does that, what does that say to the overall state of the black family when, because you have a close relationship with your father, you grew up, you fortunately, two-parent home, everything like that, that you felt like if you talked about that, that it may make other people feel uncomfortable?
I think that it shows that it's a lack of togetherness within the black community, within their families. But every situation could be possibly different. Like I don't know exactly why the father might not be in the picture, or if they are, but they just don't have a super close relationship.
Well, I know what does the future hold for you?
So within the next few months, I plan to do a lot of traveling and working, and then within the next year or so, I do plan to enroll back in school and start the Master's of Occupational Therapy program.
Yes, ma'am. And so occupational therapy is something that you do. You is there a side of you that wants to continue to work with autistic children and do more in that field?
Yes, sir. I'm going to focus on pediatrics with occupational therapy. Originally, I wanted to work with adults or athletes, but I want to stick with the pediatric route.
Okay. And why is that?
I love children, and working with children has really been an eye-opening experience, and they're so innocent, and I want to be able to shape the minds of the future.
Yes. And you, as a recent graduate, what would you say to someone in the viewing audience who, matter of fact, you have two cousins that will be attending North Carolina A&T. What would
Yeah.
you say to a person about to enter college now?
Definitely use those office hours. The one-on-one time with your professor will be very beneficial, especially at the end of the semester, because teachers will always add a little curve to the students who took the time to work with them. And make the time to do your assignments. Some assignments you can wait till the last minute, but procrastination is not always going to be your friend.
You know, and I have to say this, you know, as a Muslim follower of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, you know, you talked about confidence, but just about your your way of thinking, your questioning attitude. How has that helped you in learning?
It's helped me with learning because, like you stated earlier during class, I love a good debate. Being able to question other people's thoughts and keeping a calm composure when someone else is questioning mine. And it also allows me to have an open mind about other ways of thinking that I might not have thought of, and also be able to reorient your thinking like the messenger taught us.
Well, well, what does the organization in general? You've part of a generation. You are, what do you know, 20, what?
23.
23 years old. You basically came up in this organization. So what is your sense of loyalty or giving back or for the organization?
For me, I do enjoy working in the studio at times if I'm not working or if I want to rest. But also making sure that I'm giving my charity, especially working and being able to save up my money and being able to give back to a place that I also view as home. And what was the rest of the question?
I was just saying, as far as your relationship and giving back, that's
Oh,
all I mean,
yes, yes, yes.
because you know a lot of times we grow up and life gets in the way sometimes, and we use that excuse, but we don't come back. So what do you feel is your responsibility to the next group of people to that may benefit from what you benefited from?
To make myself always available, I do plan to, even if I do relocate, with come back on holidays or come back on July 4th, or just like when we lived in Texas, we would come back for Founders Day. And just because I move away doesn't mean that I have to move away from the organization, because like I said, it's like home.
Brother and sister, my little girl just put that in there. She's trying to relocate now that she's graduated. So that's an ongoing thing that we're working through right now to explore itself. But I congratulate you. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. And may Allah continue to bless you. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you for joining me in this
You're
segment.
welcome.
All right. Brothers and sisters, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back with another interesting guest. We'll be right back.
So I'm saying from this day forward, I want you to look at why you hate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You don't hate him on your own. You hate him because he spoke independent of Caucasian people. Because he said, now what did he say? He said, I don't want to be white. He said, I want to be my independent self. What's wrong with that? I know many white people that I like, but I don't want to be them. If I want to be someone else, then I'm giving up my potential. So, anyway, I can't think of a finer organization and one more dedicated than the few people that we have, and especially those who endured because of the love affair. This one, I want you to think about it. See, some people felt forced to come, might have been a family member, and you grew up in it, but did you come on your own? Did you come because one day you were listening and it affected you? That's what I'm talking about, the true believer, the one that really can help themselves, that saw a man being drugged through the mud and said, I got to do something about this. Those are the people that I'm talking about, which has become rare. And there are some who have been around a long time and who have deceived themselves thinking they know more than what they know.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back, continuing our conversations here at CROW, the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I have another guest with me today who has grown up in this organization. He is a friend and brother, Brother Ahmeer, Rahman, Majied. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam, brother.
Brother, it's good to see you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I can't complain.
Good, brother. And so you are another young person who had the opportunity to grow up in this organization. And now, how old are you now, brother?
25.
25?
25, yeah.
Wow, brother, time flies, brother. And so Tell me, what are you doing now?
So I work as a management consultant. Do
Okay.
and yeah,
And you specialize, I think, what,
Spec-
IT?
yeah, I specialize in IT, like digital strategy
Yes.
stuff like that.
And so I know that your path has been one where, life is something, right?
Yeah.
Yes, really. So talk about your experiences. And like I said, you've been with us here at Crow. You
Yeah.
grew up here. Uh, talk about that foundation first.
Yeah. So I mean, just as I spoke in class today, I think that the foundation that Crow gave me, I really think sometimes I take advantage of it because I did grow up in the teachings. When I get a chance to think back on, the ability to kind of know myself so young and to understand people and to understand exactly who everyone really is, and I think that getting that base really helped me in school as far as being able to kind of challenge different things and challenge questions and challenge professors and challenge situations in my environment in general. And I think that the background gave me a lot of the ability to ask the right questions.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think for sure.
How was that aspect, of transitioning out of high school and get a little freedom, independence? Just when life tests you,
Yeah.
what was that like for you?
Yeah, so I think that just like anybody, I don't think anyone is stronger than their environment.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of times you have to have that base and that foundation and that ability to have somewhere like Crow where you can come back and kind of get refreshed and get kind of get reshaped again and understanding and honing in on the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and really understanding who you are again. Like I said, like when you're out in the world and you have faced with a lot of different experiences and things that and opportunities where you can grow from, I think that you need to make the better decision when you know better. And I think that that's what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad kind of challenges me to do on a day-to-day basis. So.
How was it, as someone who's, has a little bit of life experiences, do you ever think about what it would have been like if you didn't have that foundation?
Yeah, I feel like I feel like sometimes I can see myself in other people that I feel like they may be missing exactly the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And I feel like I've tried to give that to them in ways, and I feel like I can see that it may not have been the same. I feel like a lot of situations I feel like I've came out of because of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I feel like the confidence that the teachers have given me, the Crow has given me, and just from an early age, just being able to everyone just making it important to be able to have a conversation with anybody in the room, no matter what level they are. So,
let me ask you this, and I know this is always key. Crow and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that was your foundation.
right.
Right? You're older now, you've been out there. It's one thing to have it as a foundation,
Yeah.
but was there a particular moment or anything in life that really solidified your belief for you to be like, you know what, yeah, this isn't just something I was raised in, this is right for me?
Well, I think I don't think it was one specific moment that I can pinpoint. I would just say like it was a wealth of experiences. I would say from maybe about 17 to like 24 for sure. I felt like I had 1,000 times where I felt like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, like something clicked in my head that told me, you know what I'm saying, to challenge the situation. Should you be in this situation? Is this something that you would really do? Is this something that is progressive in thought and moving forward?
And I like what you said about the environment, and I recall being young in that age in a way. You really, sometimes growing up in this, you underestimate
Right. You really
the power of the environment, and so especially when you're in college and you begin to test and do things and get in environments that you think, okay, I'm gonna be all right, but over time it wears on you. But there's also that moment that you, like you said, you question like, I shouldn't be in a situation. I need to know better. As the oldest of three, what are your conversations like with your younger siblings? Because they see things and you trying to tell them, but I know that could be hard. But just talk about being the oldest and what's that like, trying to
Yeah, I think that just being the oldest, I feel like I've always been just a different type of burden to carry, and just understanding that you have people kind of following up, they're watching you, and even when you think they're not, they're watching you and they're watching your behavior. So I think the first thing you can do is lead by example. So, and I think that I've always tried to take that on, and that can also be just such a hard responsibility, especially if maybe if you don't have the right example in front of you. I feel like, luckily for me, I did have the right examples in front of me that really kind of helped shape me into the person I am, and it was easier for me to kind of give advice to my brothers and my cousins and everybody I feel like I come in contact with that are younger, and I feel like can gain some things from me, because I feel like a lot of information, I feel like the lack of information is really where a lot of people kind of fall off and kind of start making poor decisions. So.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I know growing up here, it could be pressure. You know, you're part of the firstborn of that generation.
Right, yeah.
You know, from up here, and so with that, your father is someone who, well, both of your parents, but your father in particular, is someone that is beloved around here. You know, and so, and I know even with my sons, they'll say things that when they were younger, they didn't understand, but as they live, they begin to understand more. How do you reflect upon your time here growing up at Crow? I know you were part of some of the first knowledge of self classes and things like that. Do you ever think back of all that was invested in you?
Yeah, I do. I think back at just the close-knit, even as Sister Aaisha spoke a few minutes ago, the close-knit environment, the family environment around Crow, and how everybody kind of gathers around to kind of try to invest everything into everyone who's here, especially the younger individuals. I remember going upstairs next door to upstairs to the classes and everything, and I just thought about how much effort even it was probably for the parents to kind of organize everybody to kind of even just get there on time and stuff like that. So I think that just thinking about that, I can think on the countless amount of hours and effort that it probably took outside of everyone's day-to-day life, and I think that in order for the benefit of everyone here. So I think that that's when I think about that, you don't really see that a lot anywhere. I feel like I've never had a job where I feel like they took that type of time to invest in and kind of making sure that the future of the organization is in a good place.
Good. And so I know that. How did you, I know you talked about IT and things like that. How did you get into that field? Is that something you intentionally sought out for?
Actually, no, I feel like I actually went to school with intentions on becoming a dentist. And I kind of just got interested with different things. I kind of had some friends that were all engineering, and I was trying to see like kind of, this is really cool. I was seeing a lot of different things like, this is really cool. So trying to expand my I guess my knowledge base there, and I think that getting a chance to kind of spar with those guys and see what they knew, and I think that that's why the kind of the breadth of experiences is really good as well. And I think that they kind of help change the trajectory of a lot of different things that I found interesting in school. And so IT and kind of like the business side of IT really kind of started to kind of click for me, and I really wanted to kind of be on that side. So I started looking for opportunities that would kind of help foster me to being able to kind of be a good technologist and consultant.
If there was one thing, I know that when you get older, you begin to appreciate time more.
Yeah.
If there was one thing that you go back and tell your younger self, your graduating senior self of high school, what would it be?
To stay, I would tell myself more so to stay grounded. I feel like you said, don't take. I feel like you definitely take advantage, or maybe not take advantage, but you definitely underestimate the world around you, I think. And I feel like that would be the number one thing. Don't underestimate the world around you. Really try to understand exactly who you are and be solidified in that as well. I feel like if I would tell my 17-year-old self, because I feel like at this point, at 25, I'm really solidified in who I am. Maybe not like finally, but I'm really solidified in who I am and who I understand myself to be. I feel like at 17, I would like to have the same confidence and it was rough.
But that's, when you That's before you
Right,
test it,
that's,
right?
yeah, yeah, that's
That's
before,
right.
yeah.
We have a caller. Let's go to the line. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Assalamu alaikum. Just calling, let you know I'm listening. Very encouraging. Congratulations to Sister Aisha and all the accomplishments that everybody is making.
Thank you, Brother Clarence.
Thank
We appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. You know, you know when you talk about that,
you.
as far as taking for granted, and that's the thing, you grew up in an environment
Right,
of love, an environment with community.
right,
You're instilled in a certain thing, and so when you go outside of that, of course, you have to recall,
right,
the things that you had,
right.
but it is a different thing,
Mhm.
and so, you know, and many of those lessons you may have heard
Right.
articulated to you, but going through it is
Completely different.
something. And as a black man, um, you know, it's a lot of pressures out there
Yeah.
too, and minefields you have to go with. And I spoke with Aisha earlier
Mhm.
on because you, like her, grew up in a two-parent household,
Mhm.
had parents who invested in you,
Mhm.
and knowing that maybe some of your friends, some other people didn't.
Right.
But how did that family structure itself
Mhm.
help you navigate?
Yeah, I think is that part has really helped me navigate my life. I can say that personally, and I think that I see a lot of times kind of what you spoke to, kind of the structure.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's missing in a lot of families.
Mm-hmm.
I know you got a chance to ask Aisha the question. I feel like I see that across multiple families and people that I get a chance to interact with in different type of capacities. I feel like they all have not maybe I want to say they all, but I feel like a lot of people do have a lack of a lack of camaraderie and a lack of kind of rallying behind their family
Right.
members and kind of having that close knit bond at first. I feel like you have that close knit bond at home and then you expand out into the rest of the world. It's kind of
That's right.
what I'm always used to thinking about, and I think a lot of people don't really have that close knit support system at home that's kind of forging them to kind of move forward. And I think that's a big problem.
All right, brother. And so I'll ask you one last thing before we take a break. Um, as far as the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and that foundation, you know, to someone out there, a young man in particular who's on the fence, don't know, so what would you tell them about the teachings that would help them?
I would tell them that the teachers is going to give them the confidence that they're looking for, the ability to converse and speak with everybody in an intelligent way. I feel like if you even submerge yourself in just half of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's teaching, you can have a conversation around a wealth of topics. I feel like any industry, anything you want to talk about, I feel like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has information about it, and I can speak specifically for myself. He's definitely given me the confidence to speak with people who are probably experts in different things, and I feel like I've had a chance to kind of spar back and forth with those guys, and I think that it challenges you to just be better. So
Yes, sir. I have to say, man, you look good. It's
Oh,
really good
thank
to
you. I
see you,
appreciate
man. You got a nice clean cut and everything. Doing good, brother. So I'm happy to see you doing well. It's good to be here with you, and we hope to see more of you. Okay.
Oh yes, definitely, brother.
All right, brother. Thank you for joining us in the segment, brother. All right, brother. All right, brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed that segment with our brother Ahmeer, Rahman, Majied. We're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with another interesting guest. We'll be right back.
You should be ashamed of yourself going out of your way trying to make the Honorable Elijah Muhammad become secondary. Let me make this announcement to you today. I don't care who you mention, any combination of people, nobody that you know have come close to equaling the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Did you hear what I said? Nobody.
It's against your own health. That how creates more diseases in your body than you have any dreams of. In fact, about it, stop eating the hog, eat right, eat the proper food, and you will find 75% of your sickness leaving you. Yes, just try it.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back, and again, this is a live call-in show. If you have a question or a comment, you could reach us at 773-434-6625. And joining me in this segment is a brother who has been with Crow for quite some time. He's a little more seasoned than our previous two guests. He's our friend and brother George Malachi. Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam.
Brother, you know, I know that it puts a smile on our face to see Aaisha and Ahmeer here with us, and I know that you've someone who consistently advocates and encourages the involvement of our young people in what we do here at Crow. As someone who has studied everything, you know, and still studies, how does it make you feel to see those two here? Their accomplishments?
Well, yeah, I mean, that makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say congratulations to Aaisha and also Ahmeer, who just came back around. But
Yes, sir.
like I said, yeah, I mean, the messenger told us to get knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, and yeah, I mean, without knowledge, we're not going anywhere. That's why we see what's going on outside now, that most of our young people doesn't even have knowledge of self. They don't have knowledge if something happens, yeah, I mean, in order to continue life.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when I saw How to Eat to Live, I remember I was their age at that one time, and that restaurant was just down the street from me, and the rumors was around about the Muslim and stuff like this, and the teach hate and stuff. So I saw the restaurant, but I never thought about even attempted to even go inside of it. I just passed it by. You know what I mean? And if I had the knowledge at the time and went in there, it would change my whole life.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean?
You know, when I listened to them, and both of them said that the foundation of the teachings helped them for when they were off in an environment that was stronger than they will, so to speak. But that helped them to get back on course. And we've talked about that so many times, and the same can be said for adults. And so what is it about the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad that requires us to be firmly rooted?
It gives you the reality of life. It shows us, just like, you know, I mean, I was their age at one time, and it just shows you the cycle of life. There's no mystery anymore. So it gives you the base. So once you question this stuff, it gives you all the answers. I mean, there's no doubt or but about it. It's like you were reading about from the Matthew from the Bible today.
Yes, sir.
And it talks about turning left cheek and right cheek and stuff. And not even the dumb animals in the jungle allow that.
Right.
In fact, if you don't belong to their family, there's a fight. I mean?
And brother, I've had this all my life, believe in this way, you might have, but when you break it down like that, when you see all the examples in nature that are that contradict what we were taught under the guise of Christianity as far as loving self, protecting, defending self, loving your enemy, suffering. I mean, as a logical person, as a person who studies, how do you reach that conclusion?
It does not make any logical sense. I mean, none of this stuff, when you really look at it logically, how can you love your enemy? That means you got to be better than God himself, because God says he's coming back to kill somebody.
Yes,
he's not coming back to kill who he loved.
And, when we talk like this, I know many in the audience get to changing our narrative around, but the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us to love your beautiful black self in kind. He taught us to respect laws, but to defend ourselves. And so from that message, from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, our open enemy has labeled that as hate somehow. Our own people have become so fearful based on what they've been told that somehow they have changed a message that says love yourself in kind to somehow make it about somebody else.
It just doesn't make any logical sense. I mean, if a person is trying to kill you, how are you going to end up loving that person? You should love the person who love you and want to do good by you, not a person who want to destroy you. And the way we've been taught is to love the same person who's been whipping you and doing all these bad things to you. It just doesn't make any logical sense, period.
What is it, you're a person who studies things. We look at the signs all around us. You and I, we've talked about the financial crisis that the U.S. is in. Talked about, people talk about the supply chain, historical inflation, the wars that are going on. And so with that being said, today we were talking about a shortage on baby formula, but things that we never really thought about we're facing here today. And the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us about the decline of the dollar. It taught us about the warring factions and how Europe would turn against each other. All of these things coming into fruition, yet there's still no open discussion about the messenger's teachings.
Correct. And he gave you that book, Fall of America. And if you can't see it by now, why you having all these wars and stuff, that we're on the decline because of this. I mean, the dollar is not worth as much as people think. Like you say, it's a fiat currency backed by nothing.
Yeah.
And if you look at what they're doing now, where they're freezing people asset and stuff, who's going to chance it again to store their money in this country? Who's going to come back and buy property here when the government can seize it and take it away from you? You know what I mean? And you talk about the court system. If you can't rely on the court system for justice, you know what I mean, then the only person who can give you justice is God himself. The messenger told you this.
Yeah. But what is it, and we know this is rhetorical, but I would like some audience participation. This love affair that we have with our enemy, even to this day, anything that requires us to pool our resources, to look to one another, we're so apprehensive about it. Even though we see the open disdain and the promises that have gone unfulfilled by our oppressors. And so, the message says we'll be forced into submission.
Our so-called slave masters really did a good job on us. This fear that we do have that's built in, that you always have to include others. You know what I mean? Just like you said a while ago, if you talk about yourself, people believe that you're talking about hating somebody else. But it's got nothing to do with hating somebody else. It's about loving who you are and understanding who you are. That knowledge has been stripped from us. And we need to gain that back. That's why you can read Message of the Black Man to start giving a foundation of who you are as a black person. You know, like the messenger said, you know what I mean, the black man is owner and creamer of this planet Earth. So we should be informed of everything that's going on this planet, even the war in Ukraine, what's going on in Iraq, Palestine, all over the place. We should be informed because this is our house.
You know, and you mentioned being informed. I want to go here because I know a lot of sentiment out there is that people don't like to look at the news because they say it's sad or it's depressing. But the news in many ways validate what's going on. You have to be aware of certain situations. And you and I have talked about this and looking at alternative news sources besides the NBCs and CBSs on that, because when you do that, you find out how sanitized news and information has become.
That's right. And if people look at it, most wars, I said maybe for this one that's going on now, first thing they do is cut off your communication. When they took us as slaves from Africa, one of the things they did also was cut off your communication. They didn't put two slaves together who spoke the same language. You speak something totally different, so you could not communicate. You had to get all your communication from your so-called master. You know what I mean? The same thing happening now. Where mostly news, like I said, is misinformation and disinformation. And like I usually tell people, I went to school, I learned how to read and write, just like they did. You know, give me whatever it is. Let me see it for myself. I don't need you to do it, you know what I mean, do it for me.
You know, in particular, this war on Ukraine, in Ukraine. I'm 51 years old, and in my lifetime, and I'll just go from, let's say, 1990, they're not really looking at war as a situation. I have never seen this much coverage and sympathy as a total message in my lifetime in all the wars that we've been in. And I have to say that the things that we're having empathy for Ukraine about, the USA has perpetrated these same things on countries throughout my lifetime. And they talk about war crimes. Everywhere, every time the conversation of war crimes come up about the US, we threaten to censor somebody, or whether it's the UN, anybody, you know, and we don't want to hear that. And so even black people in our own community who know that our little small organizations could barely help our own people who need help are collecting things to send to Ukraine and those people when that has never been done on our behalf before. And the only thing that I could conclude that's different in this war than others is that in the others, most of the people that we see that are being oppressed and being hurt are darker people.
That's right.
You know, but now this media campaign, it's so much, brother, and no one questions it. And I feel bad sometimes because, you know, the only people I see certain Caucasian people question it, but I can't get a black person to open their mouth about it.
Correct. And you don't have no oversight on any of this money that they're talking about. They don't have any oversight over the military budget, over any of these type of budget, but we're just spending money left and right. We have our streets that are messed up, our bridges are messed up, you know what I mean, people are outside, you know, outdoors, don't have no place to stay, but you have all this money to spend somewhere else. You know what I mean, it just doesn't make any sense, and nobody questioned any of these guys. It's like we lost control of all these politicians. You know what I mean, because it's not making any common sense to the average person. Gas prices going through the roof because of their sanctioning of this one and that one instead of taking care of the American people. And if you bring up Trump, who said America first, they said no. You know what I mean, you have all this hemisphere in Latin America, the Caribbean and stuff in this hemisphere. You don't take care of this hemisphere. You're taking care of Europe. Everything come from here, goes to Europe, including when the 80 was playing all that reparation.
Yeah.
It didn't go back to 80 to help 80. It went all the way to France.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And we are here as a black community right now, and we having the same problem. Education, you can name it, all throughout, schooling, everything we have an issue with, and nobody comes to our rescue.
Yeah.
But when these incidents happen, we run into everybody's rescue.
Yeah.
Like the messenger said, you're crying about Africa. Africa should be helping us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean,
But and I would say this, black people have been trained to hate ourselves here, to think that we are less than, and that we can't do anything for ourselves. We look to our oppressors to help us and to change our condition constantly. And I will say this, brothers and sisters, that, we as a community can begin to do more, of course, because the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us and showed us how to build a nation within a nation. And we were still able to function, interact, communicate with other civilized people of the earth. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad had interactions and did interviews with the Asian press, the white press, went over to the Middle East, never had to compromise who he was and who he is. And as followers of his, we believe that same way. That is why we can have a guest here of a different ethnicity and still be ourselves, articulate our position, and we can agree on what we can agree on. But I'm not particularly fascinated in what they do for their community, just as they don't care what I do in mine. But if you want a message, we want to know, what is your message for our community? And that's all we're telling, is to help our people and challenge them to think that way. And that becomes a problem, because when you begin to talk about and question the issues that you do, people will say, oh, you sound like a Republican, or you sound this way, as opposed to be like, no, I sound like a black person that's being impacted by these things.
that's correct. Well, that's just give you the example when you read like the scripture and stuff. You remember the chief architect that was knocked in the head,
That's right.
consider him to be dead. You know what I mean? You see the same thing happening to us. I don't know where this stuff come from, or Ukraine and stuff, where you have all these disasters throughout the world. In Palestine, you have it in Yemen, you have it in Somalia and stuff, and we don't cry about what's affecting our people. We're crying for somebody else. This goes back to the scripture again about turning the left cheek and the right cheek. And see, you need to have your own cheek. You know what I mean?
It didn't get much coverage here, but just I think 2 or 3 days ago, there was a reporter that was killed in Israel, was shot, and they made a soundbite about it and nothing, Of course, Israel said it might have been Palestinians shooting, but every time I see a Palestinian, they have a rock. But, what I'm saying is that the news itself always shows you the value, always puts their community at a high pace, brother. And I'm so thankful for the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not to have me enamored with anyone else, but to have me secure enough to love my own people and confident enough to question other people's motives and to challenge my own people to look at things differently.
Right. You're talking about the reporters, just like when you look, we're talking about freedom, justice, equality in Islam. When you look at Julia Hassan, who just exposed what was going on over there in Iraq, with those prisoners. And he's on down to the bottom of the jail. He can't get not even his own country coming in his defense, not even the reporters, that he was a reporter, and not even reporters come to his defense. He's on his own.
Yes, sir. Well, brother, that's everybody. The U.S., if they have I can't remember, Snowden. I mean, you have all kinds of examples. And they are relentless.
Correct.
And America hates nothing worse than what they deem as a traitor.
That's right.
But we get so enamored with either black faces or liberals articulating messages that we've now come to accept and gravitate to, that have been at the very core of our destruction.
That's right. That's why we talk about these different parties, and they do it throughout the world. In Jamaica, you have the JLP, the PNP, and people below that killing themselves, and these guys up there living a good life. Same thing over here with the Democrat and Republican. You don't even hear about the third party anymore. And people here are fighting, and yeah, this is my guy, and you're getting the same thing down below.
Yeah.
These guys can go up there, and they never saw a war that they didn't, go along with.
Yes.
So both parties will sign off on a war, but they can't sign off on anything that will benefit the people in here.
And that's key. All you hear is bipartisanship and all this stuff. When it comes to war and sanctioning money, it's almost like a clean slate. There's no debate about that. And anything, whether it's an investment in infrastructure, whether it's a social program, whether it's something like that, there's always a problem with not enough resources. But America always could find money for a war of foreign conflict.
Just think about how much they spend for the military, over $800 billion for the military. I hear the estimate about Russia. Russia spent about $69 billion. Look on that big difference.
Yes.
But yet still they don't have money to do anything for the people in here. And they want to fight a country way over there. For what reason, I don't know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, it just does not add up. And like I said, people here can't go to school, don't have no money. People are in debt by going to school, which will benefit the country itself and an whole. You know what I mean? But you don't concentrate on this stuff. And you vote for these guys, and when they get up there, I don't know how they get corrupted, I guess, from the big corporation and stuff who controls everything. Because right now, if they go back and audit it, the only people who are making money from this is the military industry.
Yeah, the military industry.
That's right.
And if you include some of the weapons and mercenary people.
And the thing is, there's no war. So they have to create wars in order to sell equipment. Same thing in the neighborhoods here. If they're manufacturing guns and crime goes down, then they can't sell it. So crime is a business also.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Same thing in your neighborhood. If you don't have no crime, you don't need as much police guys.
Yeah.
So you need a crime in order for the industry to continue going.
Yeah. And we saw that yesterday. And of course, to those brothers and sisters and who lost their life yesterday in Buffalo and their family members, of course, we extend our condolences. But that's a latest example of intent. And people, you can talk about black on black crime all day. But for an 18-year-old to drive 200 miles, intentionally target a black community, shoot people outside, go inside, kill more, have tactical gear on with that kind of weaponry, and come out unscathed is another example. You call it what you want, but that's how justice works on the Caucasian side.
That's right.
But just think that intent that happens there, and they talk about a manifesto that he already had online, yet I see people getting their social media accounts canceled just for asking questions about COVID.
That's
you know,
right.
and it just shows you the inequities in how this system is designed in a predatory fashion on black people.
Right. It's just like we did some program several years back, ethics in media, and we talk about the inflation of what the Sun Times or the Tribune was doing to get to spice up their advertisement dollars. And I'm hearing the same thing going on with even Twitter. We call it Twitter,
yes.
That what's his name trying to buy right now.
Yeah,
That's
Elon
why he put a
Musk.
hold on it.
Yeah.
Because if he found out that about 5% was fake, the amount of people they had subscribing to Twitter.
That's
So he's holding it back now, and I'm hearing it might be up to about 20%, which means they were robbing people with the advertisement. The same thing that's going on, it was going on back then, it's going on right now still.
And they make fun of the young brothers with the burner accounts, but
Correct.
most of the things that they put out there is propaganda filled and meant to drive decisions and influence.
That's
They have
right.
them. So, brother, we've spent time talking about the slave master and their plan, but we want to close by encouraging the people to revisit and look at the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right. Well, all I can do is inform people the way I got informed. I said the first book I read was Message to the Black Man, and then I read the Quran. But I read Message to the Black Man, and it gave me a foundation. I never forget that. So if people want to know more about this teaching, get Message to the Black Man, and you can get it right here at Crow. You know what I mean? Also, we have all the other books of the Messenger, How to Eat to Live, Book 1, Book 2, Our Savior's Arrived, and like the times are called for now, Fall of America. You
Yes,
can
sir.
see really the Messenger was on time and was absolutely correct about what's going on now. So I'd advise people to come over at Crow and see what we got.
Sir. Brother, thank you for that. And I echo that sentiment, brothers and sisters. Come visit us at Crow. We're located at 2435 West 71st Street in Chicago, Illinois. You can give us a call at 773-925-1600 and join us every Sunday at 12:30 p.m. Central Time for our General Civilization class that's open to you to come in to learn more about what we do here as we, the Archives of the Nation of Islam. Remember, our goal is to preserve the name, the accomplishments, and the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, the last and greatest messenger of Almighty God Allah. And so on behalf of the entire Crow family, brothers and sisters, I'm your host, Jamil Muhammad, leaving you with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.